about nothing. See what happens.
Hiya, Kenneth.
Hiya. Oh, hi, Karen.
Hiya. I wanted to ask, like, what's the difference, like, when the me has like collapsed and fallen away, and what it is that carries on? Like, because things carry on, don't they? Apparently, like with likes and dislikes, but it's without
Mm,
that. So, like,
yeah.
what is the difference between having like a me energy carrying on and a no me energy carrying on?
Yeah, yeah. It's just impossible to describe. That's the thing. It really is because you have to consider that there is no individual at all to begin with either. So it's an appearance. So it's the same and then it's different. So I mean, your question is about the difference.
Yeah.
It's totally impossible to describe. There's just what's appearing to happen as opposed to what's appearing to what's really happening, and it's happening to me. So
Mm.
it's all energetic. It's just this energetic sense that things are really happening and they're happening to me. So there's this like neurosis to things because everything relates back to me, and there's a kind of stickiness to, it's me that hears, it's me that sees, it's me that feels, it's me. So there's that's relating, um but to describe it in words is just completely impossible. Like, I mean, you can't, like, if somebody um appears to fall away and they come on a Zoom, as they have done on this and other speakers, and what they'll say is, I can't tell you now what happened, I can't describe it, I just can't even begin to describe it, because it's just nothing happened. It's just the natural reality, you could say, is there's just what's appearing to happen. Whereas when
But
you
obviously,
feel that's
there
a you,
must
there's
But like obviously there must be that sort of that stickiness, that neurosis is not there. So that is like a difference, isn't it?
oh yeah, that's there is and there isn't a difference. There is and there isn't. Yeah, there's an indescribable difference, and yet nothing has happened because the individual was like an overlay anyway. It was like an additional software that wasn't even really real. Um, it's it's indescribable. It's so simple. There's just what's appearing to happen, and everything is full on aliveness as opposed to living in the real for the individual. So it's like a half alive when I'm alive, because I'm in a subject object reality, There's me, and there's the subject, me, the individual, and there's everything else. Like you now, Karen, would be an object, a person, the computer, everything is something. So there's living in the real. Then when that sense of me isn't there, there's just what's appearing to happen. There's just energy, carrying, computering. So everything is nothing, nothing is everything. Um,
I've heard like sometimes things explained like it's like when the me has fallen away, there's still this automatic pilot thing, you know, that the body likes and dislikes, and
oh yeah,
you
but none
know,
of that has anything to do with you anyway, really. Like, your likes and dislikes are
right,
yeah, so there's still, of course, there will be all like much of it will remain the same. Much of it will remain the same, but the difference, like, I don't know, it would be different for everyone too, So someone say who had a very strong religious belief about themselves and the world, and then that kind of dictated everything in their lives, the way they should live, the way other people should live. They structured everything around that,
yeah,
they
yeah,
did religious practices. They, I don't know, just randomly picking something. And if that all fell apart, then they could, like, objectively appear to be a huge difference for this person, because everything has changed for them, you know? And maybe for
yeah,
someone else, there wasn't that. There wasn't such a kind of strong belief system about how they should be, or others. So it might be much more difficult to see, um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, everything, you see, the difficulty is really with it, it's just too simple and ordinary. It's not what you think it is. And I can't describe it, and nobody can. It's very simple. Like, if you prefer tea over coffee, or you don't like chocolate cake, you're not going to like chocolate cake, like, or you're still probably going to prefer tea over coffee. It's nothing to do with you. Um, they're just things that appear to happen. And there is already no separate you there. There's nobody there at all. There's just whatever's appearing to happen. So everything will just appear to happen as it did before, but without this second handness to it, without this sense of it being absolutely real. That can't be described. It's trying to describe the difference between um, you feeling everything is real, and you thinking everything relates to you, and everything just being what it is totally impossible.
yeah,
It's just already, like, it's just so simple. Already there is just that sitting, breathing, thinking happens, emotions happen. Then you think that it's you that's thinking, you that's feeling emotions. And then it does get it, like, one contrast is the simplicity of of it, the simplicity of everything being nothing. It simply is whatever it appears as. Whereas when you feel like an individual, it's just infinitely complex, because you're living in knowing. So really, you're not seeing things as they are. There aren't any things actually, but life isn't seen as it is, because it's seen through this veil of me, and me knows. Then it's in this loop of knowing, and it's in a sense of repetition in time, and seeing objects, and nothing is, you don't see people as they are. Then you see your idea of them, and you see
mm,
your idea of life. You see, you're living in an abstraction. So if that falls away, that sense of a separate self, then everything is just seen. It's unknowable. It's actually unknowable. It can't be known. It just simply is as it appears. And then it's what you've previously thought as of being able to know, and different ideas of things are just seen to be just that, just stories. So if your paradigm of how the world is just collapses, and the world or what everything just is as it is, then it's seen it always was like that. So all of this was just a story that was going on. You know, you should be like this, you should do this, you should do that, that person is bad, that person is good.
Mm.
This is really what happened here, this is what happened here, then. I don't, nobody loves me because this, everybody loves me because this, blah blah blah. It's just all stories, 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 and it's all coming back to this me. It's all going through this sense of a me. So when there is no longer a sense of me, there's just the natural reality of thoughts, wanting a cup of tea instead of a cup of coffee, um, whatever preferences you want to come up with. That's all I can think about what to say about it, really. I can't,
Mm.
you know, I kind of, I open up with it's indescribable and then I try and describe it. But, you know, there's already no, there's life Karens, life is Karening. There's no individual
I guess
there.
like sometimes you can build an idea of like the nothingness.
Oh yeah, of
And
course. Yeah, yeah.
like, you can think, oh, I'm nothing now, but then I'm still shouting at somebody for crossing me in the traffic, you know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But like
You know,
like
and
there's an
that's
idea
things.
that and there's
Yeah,
the
like,
first yeah, the first idea would be that I would never shout at anybody for nearly crashing into me or cutting me
yeah,
off in traffic. If I fell away, it's the exact same as it's the same as saying if I was enlightened, I wouldn't get angry at stuff like that. And you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
the Toshi Moshi Kuji Waji Baji, he does never gets never ever he's just in a complete state of absolute serenity. And it's so
Everything
beautiful.
goes
And
rhythm.
I was lucky enough to be in his presence and I could feel the love from him. And he wouldn't tell that person to fuck off because they nearly he wouldn't say that. So maybe if I continue with my meditation and my mindful awareness and being in this beautiful present moment, maybe next week when someone cuts me off, I won't flip them the fucking, and then I'll be there. Then I'll be enlightened. Same, it's the same bullshit that goes on. Like, I mean, that's the way people imagine not being an individual is the exact same as the way people talk about becoming enlightened. And one is the gaining of something, and one is the loss of something. And they're the exact same thing, just looking in different directions. It's the same. It doesn't matter whether you think you're gaining or you think you're losing. You can't imagine what it's like to not. And of course, that's totally understandable because what else can the individual do but imagine its absence? That's of course that's what's going to happen. And all any speaker can do is continually point out it's not what you think it is. That's all. It's not like it's
Yeah,
amazing. I've had people come on to me and say, I've sat through meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting with you, and I swear to God, you said whatever it was, you know, you won't fall away or whatever it is. I've heard you say that like literally hundreds and hundreds of times. And then boom, I just heard it. I like I it's I've and I just couldn't hear it. And of course you couldn't hear it because you can't hear it. The individual can't hear it, you know, and can only imagine nothing like you were saying there, an
yeah,
idea of nothing. Like if you feel like something, you're in the world, you're in the real. That's what I mean when I say living in the real. The individual is living in the real because they feel like an individual, a subject, and everything is an object to me. So everything is real. So the unreal is an idea or a concept that is like it has to be real. It has to be something because all you can see is something. So it's a half alive thing living in the real because actually there is no thing that's real in and of itself. There's something. is nothing and nothing is something. So there's not real and unreal. Think about it simply, non-duality, not two. There's not real and unreal. That's an illusion from the dualistic dream of separation. There's wholeness. So there's not something and nothing. There's not life and death. It's a dream. There's energy, aliveness, wholeness, which is nothing being something, appearing as something. So that's why you can't imagine nothing. Because once you try to imagine nothing, you've made something out of nothing. If you think you can
Yeah.
imagine it, all you've got is a concept. So when you're thinking, when you what I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but when you're talking about nothing, that's it. Like all you can ever come up with is some sort of idea.
So you like a something pretending to be a nothing, or imagining you're nothing. It's not it, is it? It's not, because you're still
No,
something.
yeah, it's not
It,
it. Like it's not. It can't be. So
yeah,
so you can't imagine what's being shared, what's being suggested.
yeah,
You can't imagine. There's different ways of saying it, but like you can't imagine your own absence, of course, because any idea you come up with is just another thing, another idea, another concept. And the amazing thing is that actually, of course, you don't have to, because you're not there already. So there's immediately just already wholeness, aliveness, whatever, if you want to say oneness. That's all there is already. And it's just everything, as whatever appears, that's what it is. This is already, people are imagining. It's kind of like people imagining, uh, excuse me, I'm not feeling the best. Sorry for the coughing. um, Imagining eternity, you know, people imagining eternity, trying to imagine eternity, and really what they can come up with is just a really long time. It must be a really, really long time. And it's no time. It's all going to be a really long time. And this is eternity. This is eternal. This is eternity. This is eternal and infinite aliveness. Like, I mean, one of the shocking things about this often for people is just how simple it is and how it's not what they thought it was. And it's just, oh, okay, there's just what's appearing to happen. And a part of that often is that it is the pain, it is the shitty feeling, it is the confusion, it is the yearning.
yeah.
I
It is
mean,
the
I mean,
boredom
where do you go with that? Where
or
do you go
whatever.
then? There's nowhere to
Yeah,
go. Yeah, there's nowhere to go then. There's nowhere to go. Once that's seen, where do you go then? There's nowhere to go because whatever is appearing to happen is a lot just aliveness. That's liberation. All there is liberation. It's unknowable. Like you'd probably heard me say that before. It's unknowable. It's unknowable. It's totally unknowable. This is not like it's so immediately now sitting, speaking, sounds, sensations, aliveness. That once I know it, It's there's a second handness to it. And I really only know it from a sense of separation to it. And that sense of separation, it feels absolutely real. It's not an idea for that feels separate. It's not a thought. It's a lived, energetic sense of feeling that there's I have a life and I'm living my life. So therefore, I'm on the Zoom then, and I'm sitting on the chair, whatever. And then, of course, when it comes to these meetings, of course, that energy of feeling like an individual. That's why I always say, like, just ask whatever you want, or just say whatever. You can't go wrong. It doesn't matter. It does not matter, um, because it's nothing to do with you anyway. And it's the questions are just, the question appears to be question and answer, but there just can be this resonance with the whole sharing. And it's amazing that it just can suddenly it's not there. It's just not there. It's just that sense of me living my life. It's just so obvious. It's just incredibly obvious to nobody that I don't have a life to live. That I'm not there. That sense of separate. I'm just not there, and nobody else is either. Obviously. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on, am I?
No, it's
I always
I
feel I've
I
said too
feel
much.
like it lovely not knowing, the unknowable. It's I don't know, something's lovely.
Oh, it's fucking gorgeous. It's just so amazing. It's terrifying to the individual. To that feels separate. Not knowing is terrifying. It's absolutely to a greater or lesser degree with people, obviously. But the unknown, like I mean, it's so like this is just generally accepted in life. People talk about this all the time. Um, that like not knowing is scary, and it's because that's why, because it's outside of you. Like you're in a loop of knowing, so anything that's unknown is really a threat to you. And like living in the unknown, or whatever way you want to put it, nobody's doing that, but everything being unknowable is then full on aliveness, because there's nobody who needs to protect themselves from the world that's outside of them, because there is no world outside of them. There is no me in here. And to say that the adventure begins is a major understatement. Like, it's just incredible, because I just have no idea what's going to appear to happen. So all that's kind of secondhand staleness is just gone, and everything is new. I've never done a Zoom before, in a way. Like I have and I haven't. And I really mean that. Like I have and I haven't. Like obviously, someone would say, "Oh, this idiot says he's never done a Zoom before," and I found like 100 whatever Zooms on YouTube. I know what you mean, but it's real and it's unreal. It's real in its appearance, but it's just aliveness is nothing being everything, and there's actually it's always new. And that's what's scary to the that feels individual. What I'm saying there is it's very, very scary, really, because it's obviously scary. The idea of me not being there is to that the individual is terrifying. Death.
Hi, Kenneth.
Oh, hi, Laura.
Hi. So when you just described this stayness, so here I feel it's like related to a kind of deep fear. It's like, and therefore somehow it appears as if I have exchanged a form of as an idea of feeling secure in life, and therefore cutting off my and in a way my own aliveness, or this feeling, like the a kind of sort of feeling of being alive. Yes. And
Okay.
when I heard you just speaking about this describing this stale kind of life experience, so to speak, underlying because of feeling as an individual and feeling separate, I could only sense that it's like there's something that is like so deeply afraid of actually being met by life. Yes, and is trying to always, I don't know, dancing around it, so to speak. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the individual just always maintaining its sense of the sense that of themselves and the world outside of themselves. So,
Yeah.
like, if you imagine this bubble of me, it's always just maintaining this boundary and this sense of me, and that I have a life and there's life out there. So that's how
Yeah.
it functions. And then there's a yearning with that and a dissatisfaction with that.
Yes. Yes.
So the difficulty is the individual just wants to keep the apparent individual is not really an individual, but it just wants to keep doing that. That's why you'd often hear me say that I'm not speaking to an individual. I've no interest in the individual whatsoever because the individual can't even hear me. It'll just make something of it. So that's the big paradox, is that when you feel that sense of separation and there's this continual reinforcing of that, actually paradoxically what's really being looked for is your absence.
Mm.
So of course that's absolutely terrifying, because
Mm.
you want to stay in the safety of the known loop of you, which maintains you safe from a world that's outside of you.
Yeah.
So that will continue until it doesn't.
Mm.
And the amazing thing is fear is actually it already. Because
Mm.
fear, if you think about fear is fully alive. Fear is like I remember when I did feel like an individual. I went for a job interview, and I wasn't doing so good at the time, I think. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but I went for the job, and I remember getting so nervous. And I went for the job, and I actually, I think I did quite well. But I remember, like, the fear is like every cell in my body just was vibrating like this, and it was, you could say it was nervousness, but then the nervousness and the fear, I remember just like it just felt like a full aliveness. I was fully alive, and then it what was remarkable about it was it was a taste of, like, I haven't felt like this in years. I haven't felt like this in years. It's not I didn't feel good or I didn't feel bad, but I just felt fully alive. And that's what, like, the fear, what was singing to me there was, the fear is it.
Mm.
Fear is it, not this sense of, oh, maybe call in sick and don't do the
Mm.
interview, maybe, and then, then you'll be safe. Then you won't have to go through the interview. You won't feel the fear. You won't feel the anxiety, and you'll be safe. Then, that would be the individual kind of rah rah rah.
Mhm.
Um, and then, of course, in the story, Kenneth continued to feel like Kenneth, blah blah blah. And this is only kind of looking back in retrospect, but I'm only saying that, really, that's of no significance whatsoever, and it didn't even really happen, because this is something appearing to happen. But the point about it is everything is it, whereas the individual
Mhm.
would kind of sense that, oh, that's fear, and naturally kind of pull away from that, and that's not it.
Mm. Mhm. And what also happens is that when I listen, for example, right now to you, so then there I look same time somehow inside me and check whether I can relate to that or not, or whether it is like, so this is, I think that's already part of this um illusional experience, that I am here able to listen and look the same time inside, how that is like
Yeah, but it doesn't matter though. Doesn't
okay.
matter because, as I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter what the individual think. The individual doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the individual
Yeah.
thinks they do, or what they think or anything. It doesn't matter because the individual's already a story.
Yes.
And the suggestion is, again, it's very simple. You see, it's too simple because you don't have an inside. You know, like even when you said there, I look inside.
Hmm.
You know, it's like, it's, if you think about it even logically, like who looks where?
Yeah.
Because there is no inner or outer, only the
Hmm.
appearance of one, for sure.
Hmm.
It's just so simple. It's too simple. That's the problem.
Mm.
There's just walking in the woods and meeting random strangers and bringing them into the Zoom meeting. Yeah, I'm joking around. You know what I'm saying? There's just whatever's
Yes.
appearing to happen.
Mm. Mm.
Like, I mean, when we talk like this, of course, like there's going to be this is going to be there are no levels, but like on a conceptual kind of level. I shouldn't even say levels because there are no levels, but conceptually, you would feel that there's an engagement with this. You know, of course there is, because there's a kind of it's a discussion, you could say. Like, so there's
Mm.
something being said. There's a kind of like a question answer format and da 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 da. So it can be that like something said is like crystal clear, or kind of really resonates
Yeah.
intellectually or conceptually,
Yeah.
but that's not what this is about though, at all.
Mm.
At all. It's
Yeah.
not at all about any of that, because if it was about that, then these meetings would be completely different.
Yeah.
Because I would be telling
They
you,
would go somewhere, huh?
yeah, it would go somewhere. There'd be somewhere to get to, and I would then, it would make total sense to have a format to this. So I
Hmm.
could do a 12-week course, and I'd say, well, week 1 is about time, week 2 is about space and causality, week 3 is about, and then break down this so-called thing called non-duality into this understandable thing that we could work our way through and then arrive at a logical conclusion. Ah, okay, I get it, I totally get it. But it's not, there's nothing to get.
Yeah.
It's not about concept or knowing. Of
Mhm.
course it isn't, because as we were saying earlier, there is no, it's unknowable.
Mm.
It's all energetic.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
that's the thing. Like, I hear this a lot too, for people that they think that, oh, they kind of almost they feel like they're watching themselves, and feel like, oh, the mistake I'm making now is I'm getting what you're saying and I'm thinking this, or and they think that this individual is, they feel they're somehow going wrong with all of this.
Mhm.
And how could you go wrong with anything when you're not there?
Mm.
That also is just another story.
Mm. Yeah. That's like, in a way, for me, and then like, to hear this is like amazing message. It's an amazing message because it's never, I never hear that anywhere else. Like, it's such a wow, because it leaves you in a completely open kind of whatever. It's like
Yeah.
completely open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with you, but it is total open. Yeah, it's absolute boundless, actually.
Yes.
It's so open, it's total boundlessness. And actually what's been said is that all there is actually is
Is
boundlessness.
that Yes, yes.
So that's all there is anyway. It's not just something that's available in some communication through some character in a meeting. It's not
Yeah.
like that. And that's what can be seen is there's no authority, there's no teaching, there's no anything, and everything is nothing and nothing is everything. That's all there is already. But certainly the communication is very different and excuse me, to what you normally hear. And it's an illumination, and the illumination when it's from nobody, and it's that's always the word I land on, is it's boundless. There's a
Mm.
boundlessness to this that nobody can describe. I can't describe it, nobody can describe it, but it's, and then what usually, no, like normally people just retract into knowing. They'll kind
Mm-hmm.
of they'll be intrigued by it maybe, or maybe they'll just feel totally confronted by it, and they much rather be in that loop of
Yeah.
me where I know, and so it's too much, it's too much, it's no, 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 thank you. And it's totally frightening. It's the end of me, so that's completely terrifying.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. Thanks, Kenneth.
Thanks, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Hi, yeah.
Oh, hi. Um, I'm having love and hate relationship with this. I feel like before I connected with you, I was like, oh, I love this, and now after connecting with you, I hate this. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just shocking. Like, I'm just shocked how much I can't listen to you anymore. I can't hear Tony. Like, I'm like, no, this is not, so it's kind of shocking. You've been
Oh, you need
saying
to
that, where I was
stop
like,
with the compliments, please. I'm getting a big head
no,
here.
it's like shocking, like how much I hate this. I
I
was
can
like,
only handle
wow.
so much positive feedback in one session.
So it's I'm surprised by how much the mind or me or the separate self hates it, like, because it's like I thought like, no, this is what this is what it wants, or
Yeah.
this is what it's about. But
Yeah.
it's completely is not about that at all.
No, not
Like,
at all. No. That's so
no.
actually that means that's unconditional love, actually. That's
Mm,
what you described there to me is unconditional love.
okay, because I was like, wow, it's quite
Because
shocking to.
it's being heard then. It's actually being heard.
Mm,
What I feel that is there was an idea of wholeness and oneness and this thing, and then there was listening to speakers, let's just say speakers, and then what was being communicated started to really, really be heard. And then what you described there is the shockiness, the confrontational nature of it. It's actually being heard, actually, then.
how?
Because
Because he hates it.
yeah, because of course, because the individual wants to be an individual. The individual does not want any part of what's been said here this morning. No part of it. The individual wants to be a better me, a more loved me, blah, 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 blah. So when it first hears this, it thinks of it as a way to, oh, wholeness. That sounds good for me. I think I like a bit of that. I think that would be really good for me.
Until I
And then
connected with you.
then it starts to see, yeah. Then it starts to
Yeah.
see, oh fuck, hang on a second. This is saying there is no me.
Yeah.
So that feels like a me is not going to want anything to do no part of this at all. It can run a million miles away from this. And it is shocking, yeah. It is it can be extremely confrontational and confronting. I mean, sorry, confronting to that feels separate.
Yeah.
Of course, of course it is.
Because I think before connecting with you, you feel like self-inquiry, or all glimpse, all that thing felt like progressive, because I was progressing. And then
Exactly.
connecting, and the energy was so strong. And then I was
Exactly.
like, oh, I hate this. Like, this is, I can't listen to anything. Like, I haven't watched your video before. I was like, oh, so that was very interesting how the separate self was pretending that it's really seeking for this, or it's
Yeah.
about this, but it really is not about this at
Is
all.
it?
Like,
It's
it's
gorgeous. What
really.
you're saying to me is absolutely so gorgeous. I just love it.
Thank you. I was
That's
like,
exactly it, though. That's exactly what you said is exactly it. The individual, what they seek is this concept of wholeness. So they're continually feeding this loop of knowing by like those things, those practices, self-inquiry, all of these things. And the reason that those things can feel so energetically, oh, so lovely and everything, is they just seem to kind of fill up this imaginary me
yeah,
for a while, and they continually feed the apparent individual and feed this idea that there's something to get, there's somewhere to get, and I can get there.
Yeah.
So it just continues, and it will be like that till it isn't. So then that's why
Because this feels just it's here. Like this
Yeah.
is just here. There's
Yeah.
nothing I can add. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can, and it just feels like, oh, I can't progress. Like there's no
yeah, so
improvement
gorgeous.
in
Yeah.
this being, you know? It just
Yeah.
it. And I was like, no, this is, I mean, I don't even know how I got in the call today. I was like, do I really want to get on or not?
No, well,
You
you
know, but I
don't.
was like,
You don't, as in you
yeah,
don't.
but
You don't.
something
When I say
did,
you don't, the
no.
individual, like I think we said this at the beginning of the meeting, the individual does not want this at all. This wants
Yeah,
nothing to do with what's been said here. That's why I'm not speaking to an individual. I am not speaking
yeah,
to an individual you there because I can't see one. There's just wholeness, unconditional
mm,
love as
mm.
that character there. That's all there is. Though I can't even add anything to what you said. I mean, it's just beautiful to me what you said there. You didn't say it, but you're describing perfectly that what the difference between this idea of what you want and then actually what you want is there's energetically what you want is very, very confronting. And the reason it confronts it is that it destroys this idea of what you want, which is really destroys you.
Yeah,
They're not two different things. This idea of what you want and you, as in when I say you, I mean the individual. It's the same energy. Well, maybe one day I'll get there. Oh, I feel the self-inquiries help me. I feel better. I feel more. I feel more in tune with people. I feel, and fair enough. That's what. But it's always still around the next corner. And this, as you say, it's here. But even clearer than that is that there isn't even a here, because there's not a there. It's not even now because there's not a then. It's so much just the immediate isness of what appears to be. It's completely unknowable. And if it's unknowable, it's terrifying to the individual who lives in the known. Most people keep well away from this. Most people keep well away from this. They very quickly retreat to self-inquiry, spiritual practices very quickly. They really do not like this at all. They do not like being told that they are already unconditional love. They do not want to hear that. They do not want to hear that. They want to hear that some fucking day they might get there. That's what they want to hear.
yeah.
That's what they want. Please tell me that if I'm a good boy or a good girl and I work really hard, I'll get there. That's what they want.
So what separate cell wants, it's not what it really wants, you know. It seems like it's pretending. It's like sort of like putting up this, you know.
Yeah.
It was surprising because I was like, I love, you know, truth and God and all that thing, and I thought, no, this is just, it's just an act. Like it was just an
Yeah.
act. Like it was really
Just a
seen. I was like,
story. It's just
yeah,
all
just
just a
a
story.
story. Just,
Like
you know.
how I would put it is, you think as an individual that what you're yearning for is you getting something.
Yeah.
Logic, that's totally logical, because if there's something missing and it feels like there's something missing, then I can find it and then I'll be
Mhm.
there. And amazingly, what's being yearned for is a loss. It's not a gain at
Yeah.
all. So it's a complete loss. It's total loss of everything. The idea of God, the concept of God, good, bad, special, not special, all ideas of life, everything is lost, because it's just this what's yearned for, which is just already nothing being everything. And it's a loss of that feels itself separate. It's a loss of me. It's a loss of my life. So then there's just a life. There's just aliveness. So that's how what you yearn for is already the case. It's already whatever's appearing to happen. And that you as an individual, which is an appearance, are continually looking over there. Where is it over there? It's quite a shock that it's a loss. It's not, you really would feel it's about getting something, knowing something, having something, being in a state, being in some sort of a state, having an experience, all of this. It's complete loss. And then in that loss, then it's nothing. That you have nothing, total poverty, don't know anything, don't have anything, and nothing is everything. So that's I mean, that's liberation. And it's very clear
But
to
also
nobody.
I feel like, I don't know if I want to say that, but it also fear of being that love, you know, like being that embraced, like fully, you
Oh
know, for
yeah,
who you.
completely.
Yeah,
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 totally. That's too much for the individual. They want to stay in knowing and maintain this idea of itself.
yeah.
It's completely too much for the end. It's just no, 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 no. And that could also be about a sense of unworthiness that
Yeah.
we have as being separate, and a sense that okay, what this guy is talking about now, yeah, that's fine, but that's too much for me now, because I'm little old me. I know all my nasty little habits and the shitty way I've treated these people in the past and all these things that I have. So I'm not worried of that. Maybe someday if I keep working on myself, I'll
Yeah.
get there. And all of that unworthiness is just simply out of a sense that there's a little old me and a world out there. That's what it comes back to.
Well, also separate self wants to be perfect and good and, you know,
Yeah.
pure, you know,
Yeah.
because you can only
Duality.
do, yeah.
Duality. The dualism. The dualistic dream. You know, the dualistic in which you're pulling in all the positive and pushing away all the negative, because this is it and that isn't. So there's this dualistic play of opposites as a separate self that is
The
special,
good thing
not
is all the
special good bad.
negatives are showing up more. All my negative qualities, which I've been pushing it, I've been living it like fully. I was like, let's see.
Yeah,
You know, I've been really expressing all
yeah,
suppressed or oppressed self, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And
And
I'm
this
like,
is
oh, this is spiritual. This is not unspiritual to be unhappy or happy or, you know, whatever, you know.
yeah, and it's what I would suggest though to what you're saying, or what I would add to what you're saying, is that you're not even doing that though.
Yeah,
You're not even doing that. That's
yeah,
the
it's
thing, and
happening.
it's not
Yeah,
spiritual or not
yeah,
spiritual,
yeah,
because spirituality is just a concept. It's just another idea. But I totally get what you're saying, though. I'm not
yeah,
contradicting what you're saying in that I get the gist of what you're
yeah,
saying. Is that for me, what you're saying there is that, well, it's everything. It's
yeah,
everything. It's this thing that I thought was, oh, I needed to do something about. Well, maybe that's
yeah,
it as
yeah.
well. That's what I feel. That's what I
It's
hear.
actually having fun with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm
Yeah, of
actually
course. Yeah,
like, oh my
everything
God.
is like
Yeah,
when it's full on aliveness then,
yeah,
as opposed to the idea of aliveness
yeah,
is the idea of me, that as an individual, you're just going around this sense of how you should be, or other people should be, or
yeah.
life should be. It's just a model, you know. I was going to send you a message, but I see I missed you last week, so I'm more available this week anyway. I think you phoned, or a few people phoned. I missed them, but anyway, the best thing to do with the phoning also is just send an email at the same time. I often kind of get, then if I miss the call, then I'll send a message or something. Anyway, it was nice. Thanks. It
Thank
wasn't
you.
anything. It wasn't anything. It was gorgeous and nothing at
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Lovely to see you, and
You
maybe
too.
see some of you later. I'll probably have the thing on Friday, and then I'll have my meeting in Dublin. Then the people can join Saturday and Sunday. Anyway, you know the story.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. See you soon. Bye.